News 9, in your interest.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
Welcome to News 9. You're watching On Point. I'm Kartikeya Sharma. We have 3 on points for you today. India hosts AI Summit, 20 nations and 2.5 lakh people expected to participate. In first on point, we will talk about why AI is so intrinsic to India's defense. In On Point 2, we will discuss why Mia remark has landed Himanta Biswa Sarma in court. Supreme Court refers the matter to High Court, but the question is whether the politics is right. In the last On Point, we will talk about NGT clearance of rupees 92,000 crore Great Nicobar project. Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Weeks after the India-US trade deal announcement, India's chief negotiator will lead a delegation to Washington next week to finalize the legal framework of the agreement. Hours after resigning as Assam Congress chief, Bhupen Bora makes a dramatic U-turn, withdraws his resignation after intervention by the party leadership, averting a fresh crisis in the state unit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to travel to Israel on a 2-day visit from Feb 25th to 26th to boost bilateral ties. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirms PM Modi is likely to address Israel's parliament. Three accused sentenced to death in the rape and murder case of an Israeli woman on March 6th in Koppal. Ten months after Pahalgam terror attack, J&K LG orders reopening of 14 tourist destinations across Jammu and Kashmir that were temporarily closed. India is hosting Mega AI Summit where 20 countries and 2.5 lakh people will participate. AI has become integral to the human life. Whether it is democracy or content, AI plays an integral role in day-to-day life of a person. AI Summit can broadly be divided into 7 chakras. It begins with cognition, followed by culture, sovereignty, labor, democracy, discovery and governance. Though this government wants to bring shareholders to shape the future of the planet, that is the bright side of the AI. The dark side of the AI is also the lack of regulation, its contribution in global warming and its dangers where it begins to impact human behavior and culture. The bigger challenge has been the military application of AI. From Azerbaijan to Gaza to Operation Sindoor, AI played a big role in war. Today, America and China dominate the world of AI and are increasingly using it for multiple policing and military operations. Now let me break it down for you. AI improves weapon accuracy and identify targets, as seen in Israel's Lavender system and AI-equipped drones in Ukraine that increase strike precision from 30 to 50% to roughly 80%. AI processes massive data sets, including surveillance imagery, for faster automated or semi-automated decision-making. AI optimizes supply chains, such as predicting when equipment needs repair or automating route planning. Development of drones in the system that operate with limited human oversight or with potential for fully autonomous systems. Strategic and operational impact. AI compresses the observe, orient, decide, act, which is known as the OODA loop, allowing for the faster human speed combat. AI is integrated across land, air, sea, cyber and electromagnetic domains. AI is viewed as changing the very nature of war, leading to concepts like hyperwar, where AI systems manage most combat tasks. Accountability and ethics are also very important. The use of AI is to make life or death decisions, raises profound ethical questions, particularly regarding the inability to hold a machine accountable for mistakes. Autonomous weapons or lethal autonomous weapon system laws could lead to rapid escalation and accidental civilian casualties. AI systems can be fooled by adversarial data, suffer from hacking, or experience issues with sensor spoofing. Now the question is, how is India prepared? Pakistan and China closely collaborated during Operation Sindoor. China and America dominate global AI market. Most of their technology is enmeshed with space and military programs. Where do we stand and how well we are going to fare? India spends on research is no comparison to what America and Chinese governments have been doing. So the big question is, where do we begin? On this issue, I am joined by Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, Air Commodore Ashminder Singh Bahal, and Group Captain V. N. Jha. Thank you all of you for joining me. Let me straight away go to General Sahni. General Sahni, if you look at the spin-off of the space and military technology, our understanding is clear. Whether it's internet, wireless communication, mobile communication, these are all space spin-off. India is hosting a big summit. Prime Minister recently, right now in front of us, has inaugurated it. What is India's AI challenge when it comes to serve military domain?
Okay. Good evening, Karthike. Firstly, a pleasure to be on your show, and I can see some colleagues whom I've been on the show along with you, on the same show along with them. So, firstly, let me just start by the fact that those activities that happen in the armed forces realm do not get too much of advertisement. But I think Operation Sindoor, in its own sense, showed that there has been a remarkable amount of progress that has happened as far as India is concerned. So how do I see it? So let me just put it in perspective. It was in 2017 that the government of India and the Ministry of Defense set up a special committee to examine the roadmap that needs to be identified for different sectors, different ministries to take it forward. As you're aware, it was headed by the chairman of Tata Sons, Mr. Chandrasekhar, and they had reps from the services, from the ministries, from different DPSUs, from the DRDO. And this roadmap was carved out, and it was for each sector. So there was these AI challenges and the road ahead that needs to be taken as far as the military is concerned. So let me put it like this. What has happened since then? 2-3 things have happened which are extremely important. I think we started having a user, academia, and a startup interface. And I think some of this we would have seen in one of our Army Day parade where you had the first set of swarm drones that came in, which showed how the command and control shifted. So this was an interface of all the 3 elements coming together. The next thing what happened after that is we have set up incubation centers. Incubation centers set up at the military establishments where we have startup hubs being created, and those are being guided by the user on a day-on-day basis of what requires to be done. The third thing that has happened is, which is of course an open domain, you have the IDX challenge, you have the DRDO and the DPSU challenges. So the user defines the statement or the problem statement. With this problem statement, the startups work at that, and then we come out and see how it gets implemented within the system. So I would say one was the aspect of getting the technology into the system. The second aspect was, how do you educate people? So if you see whether it is our College of Defense Management, whether it is large number of military seminars that are held, technology absorption for legacy equipment and for future weapon systems is a key aspect that is being debated. We have special engagements for the senior leadership for them to understand the different facets of this fast changing technology spectrum so that they are clear in the kind of project or the problem that they need to define. So that's happening at one level. Skilling is happening. So where are we seeing this impact? You're seeing it in threat analysis. You're seeing it in intelligence. Basically, information is coming in from different sources. Information collation, analysis, int analysis for the statements and for the decision-making loop is being carried out. You have got data analysis that is being done. Today, you've got counter-influence narratives being created because with the help of OSINT, open source intelligence, which you can get from the cyber internet, social, you take it ahead. So there's a lot that is happening, which is under the radar. The point is, there is a lot more that needs to happen. Industry has to move up at the same pace. The startups can get you the technology. Thereafter, the scalability and the absorption also a challenge. So these are the areas which you're looking at, and it's reasonably well carved out. Our process can always be faster.
Dr. Bahal, my question is very, very specific to you. My question is that China and America dominate unregulated AI market. One, they're way ahead. Their research money is way ahead of us. How do we keep up, or how do we match up? Because any AI anomaly would lead to an AI imperialism, which will be far more difficult and far more tougher to challenge.
A very nice question, in fact, and it's a tough question, I must admit. If you notice, in 2025, January 20th, when Trump took over, at that period of time, the stock market fell by $1 trillion. And that was primarily due to the DeepSeek V3 version being launched on that day. And we found similarly for artificial intelligence, just before this summit took place, we found our IT stocks going downwards and totally red, prevailing there by 10 to 14%. So that is one aspect. The second is Xi Jinping had wanted China to become a global leader in artificial intelligence by 2030. And similarly, right now, it is a great challenge between America and the US. But let me also assure you that today India is in a third position with respect to the human capital that we have, and our own people are involved in most of these companies, including my own son in artificial intelligence in the US today. So it is the human capital wise, or even in catching up, India has vastly moved forward, especially with the government policies in the last few years. Like the general was mentioning, he did say the Niti Aayog came up with a strategy in 2018, and Defense Artificial Intelligence Council was formed in 19 with the defense minister heading it. And then you had multiple task force, and DIPA came up. That is Defense Artificial Intelligence Project Agency. Today we have unmanned vehicles which were displayed in the Republic Day parade by the army. Indian army is moving pretty fast on that. And you have on our borders today, China has deployed Mule 200 as well as Sharp Claws, and they also got robo dogs and robo wolves, which are humanoid robos, which are acting over there. But at the same time, our own armed forces are moving forward. Let me give you two examples of very clear, which were shown in the Ops Sindoor. One example was in the air defense, where there was a networking done between the Army's Akash team, which is nothing but an artificially intelligent system that takes in the inputs from hundreds of radars and identifies the weapon system that is closest to it and links it up with the integrated air command and control system, which is also a system which is essentially with the Air Force, as because Air Force has the entire responsibility of air defense and the long range weapon systems like S-400 being with the Air Force. And we created a world record by destroying enemy a high value target system at 314 kilometers. And out of the 600 drones that came in, there were hardly any drones that caused any damage. So if you look at that, or look at the second way electronic warfare, Samyukta systems, or the other systems that have come up, you find. No, I just want to say one word, one or two sentences more. You know, what is the main reason why China has gone into a doctrine from informationalized warfare to intelligentized warfare? Primarily because of two reasons or two functions of the artificial intelligence. The first function is the ability to synthesize and analyze humongous amount of data and come out with meaningful results by which you can take quick decisions, which means in military planning, command and control, and also from the large number of sensors, whether in the air, from satellites or on ground, you're able to merge the information, identify the intelligence inputs regarding the assets in the air or on ground, friendly or hostile, and then allocate the shooter which is there, which is available nearest and best to take it on. And we have already done it. We have already proved it in Ops Sindoor. So last thing I want to say on this is this also raises a lot of doubts in our minds that whilst India is progressing, we still are a distance behind China, and we still are a distance behind US. When is it that we are likely to come up to their level? Let me give you a figure. 2040, we will be as good as them in every respect of artificial intelligence because the human capital is based from India.
Okay.
And we are much better than the Chinese in human capital, which the Chinese own study has come out with. Whether it is in utilization of the deep seek that they have or developing it in just $5.5 million, but it is also that they have acknowledged that the Indian brains to apply artificial intelligence in various systems and structures has been much better.
Okay. Group Captain Jha, the Gaza targets, 80% of them were a result of AI. There was no human intervention. 80% of the bombing targets were picked by AI. World has already entered AI war. People think that the future war will be dominated by AI. There's an AI war which is happening right in front of us. Do you think in this words OODA loop, specifically which I have mentioned, have you been able to tighten it where you can compress decision making time?
Karthik, very good evening to you. Look, I feel slightly different because what we are talking about the AI today, most of its component is actually automation, which has been there in some form or other all through these days. In DRDO itself, we have got a unit called CARE, Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, and it has been there for decades there. Question is, what we aim to put into force in defense, especially that I'm talking of, and what is available to us. Look, AI is something which is changing by every hour. Its application, its utility, and its approach, that is changing, at a phenomenal rate today. Some of my head in some section who was supposed to be dealing with the AI, artificial intelligence, may not be at par with a youngster who is working in that field. I'm trying to give you a hint. If you want the AI to succeed here in India, you must have all those brainies who may be youngster, who may be at the undergraduate or maybe just postgraduate level. Incorporate them, harness their capability. And that is what possibly today we are lacking somewhere. We have got immense potential about the people who are orienting about it. I'm also aware that government is keen to adopt AI. I'm talking of AI and not the computerization or automation of the systems. AI, if the government is keen, it has got the humongous sort of area of applicability. All sections of the government, all departments, all ministries, they have very specific need for the AI to work in there. Defense was one exception wherein we initially had thought that if we give this free hand to the AI to take decision on their own, maybe doom may happen. But slowly, as we are seeing, there are different layers of the AI managing. You can leave layer 1 and 2 with the AI, but layer 3, where the ultimate decision making is there. Keep that with the armed forces people who are experts in the war management. Keep that with them. So that is how it can be there. Now think of if all ministries of Indian government need the AI. Is there a scope or is there a provision made for them to work in the different field? I'll give you a small example. In 2015, we had seen a glimpse of some video coming out from Bihar schools, wherein the teachers who were supposed to be teaching science, they didn't know ABCD of the science. I was so elated now with the chat GPT and other things, many other things coming up in the domain in the last about 1.5 to 2 years, that the teaching part in the education, AI can play immense role, and that has already started playing in some of the areas. So we have to decide where we want to put. Welcome this summit, but in this summit, government will have to be very, very liberal in incorporating the AI in all domains, all across the board, including defense. And that is how it will work. And only when you put all these things at the work, then you will know what all you need further. This is only the starting platform, Karthikeyan.
Okay, General Sarin, very quickly, do you think that AI boost requires a different sort of a boost between civil-military collaboration? Because civil-military collaboration, which is there in America and China, is absent in India. Apart from the ground-level entrepreneurship, that's the weaker side.
I think what you have touched upon is absolutely right. I think the industry has still not come up to the answer the way it exists across both in US and China. I think the big players have to come in. They've started entering it. The startups can do the path-breaking work, but I think scalability, taking it for reliability and capacity to churn it out and keep it ahead of the technology loop will have to be by big players. I think that's an area which is still a weakness, but needs to be looked at more diligently. That's the direct answer, what I would say for the question.
Absolutely. This I touched, when I started the conversation, Dr. Bahar, the most of the technology, the miniaturization is basically a spin-off from the space technology. And when they came down to this planet, they were first used by the militaries. And from the militaries, they were transferred to civilian domains. It never happened from the opposite direction. That is why today I have framed this discussion from the point of view of space, military and AI. The best will go to the space and military. Then it percolates to the civil society. It's Ganga ulti nahi beh sakti hai. So that's my question to you. So do you find that tech, I would say, spark when it comes to space, military and civil fusion? That's where that's where the Gangotri has to be.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. In fact, the internet first came from the US Army, and the US Air Force is looking after the space. And it is said that the upper end of technology spectrum rests both in the space as well as in the air. So now, when we are looking at upper end of technology spectrum, that spark has to come from a coordinated use of Defense Space Agency that we formed a few years back. And they're already coming out with doctrines, both defensive counter air as well as I stand corrected, defensive counter space as well as offensive counter space strategy. So that was their first task. And the second task was to come out with doctrines and principles for employment and of coordinating between the three services, that is the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Initially, they gave this task to the Air Force, and the Air Force did it pretty well. One of my colleagues who had worked with me was heading it first time. And after that, again, now we are continuing to push forward in that direction. But like I was saying earlier, that this push, we must let the Air Force take the lead in this primarily, because the Air Force is operating in the air and space environment in any case, whether it is a missile that comes from space to air or onto ground, or whether it is, and also one important factor that the general mentioned and that you mentioned, and which is the linking up of the defense university, which is right now not yet formed or formed for the other elements, not really with the defense forces. And the second is the civilian universities. Like in China, they have specific university colleges which are dedicated towards defense and artificial intelligence technologies. And it is always the universities that come out with the concept and industry that transforms this concept into reality. Okay. But in India, as well as even in the US, because of being from upper end of technology spectrum, the lead was taken by the armed forces, whether in the internet, space, or in artificial intelligence integration.
Okay, integration is the word, and I'll take the closing comment from Group Captain V.N. Jha. Sir, when we talk about artificial intelligence in context of defense, a lot of people talk about ethical issues. A lot of people talk about artificial intelligence can lie. I would frame this question differently. I would say these are the challenges in framing a technology. But do you think that we have enough human power to indigenize AI? I mean to say, do we have enough human resource to create our own version of AI?
Absolutely. That is the need of the hour. Our AI generation for the multifactorial platform has to be of the indigenous solution. There is no denial about, all two are of panelists. They have spoken about how acutely defense is sensitive to AI. I will add one more. Put the Home Ministry into it. Look at the entire International Board of India. And, greater part of it is right now unmanned. So could there something of the AI which keeps an eye onto the entire international border
Yes.
and keeps the decision-making capability with either the Home Ministry or even Defense Ministry? Both of them, they have.
So
got
the
this-
entire AI is actually part of the surveillance of the Uyghur community in China. I'm saying the entire thing is linked with the cameras and from sending to notices by getting calls from detention centers is all AI centric in China.
I had written one article about 2.5 years back regarding the same, about this. Summit is happening today, but this idea among a lot of people have been already there. Why India can't do it? India-specific artificial intelligence, which is applicable on the ground for everyone, all forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, the Space Forces, as well as the Home Ministry's, internal security arrangements. So all these are the required. But the thing is, government must put this in place in all departments. Look, there will be initial teething problem in the system when you integrate, but then be ready for overcoming it. And we have got the brains for this. There has to be it.
Okay.
So that is how I think it should be going, and stop the brain drain right now. I have got very positive inputs, very special and specific inputs that our AI experts are today migrating out of India, because there is no applicability here in India.
I think that's that's a very good point, but that's that's like a debate for another day. That despite best of efforts, we don't create a climate of a Silicon Valley. You can create a Silicon Valley infrastructure, but you need to create a Silicon Valley mindset where failing is okay. You fail, you fail fast, get up and do the rest. Thank you all of you for joining me on this debate. Thank you so much. But in on point 2, which I'll come back after a short break, we will discuss why Mia remark has landed Hemanta Biswa Sarma's entire issue in the court. Supreme Court has referred the matter to the High Court, but the question is whether the politics is right.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर्ड बंधन म्यूचुअल फंड।
रश्मि, ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ। छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े, नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। पर बेटा, इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
अभी तो इसकी जीत का इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे। SBI लाइफ अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए।
रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो। बिरला ओपस